So far in this course, we've been working away inside different workbooks, but I haven't yet shown you how to save your workbooks. So let's take a look at that now. Now, most of us are familiar with saving documents and spreadsheets. And I will say that if you're used to saving documents in other Microsoft applications such as Word and PowerPoint, then this is pretty much exactly the same. Now, there are a few different methods that you can use when it comes to saving workbooks in Excel 2021. And there is a fundamental difference between Excel for Microsoft 365 and the new Excel 2021 version. If you're used to using Microsoft 365, or specifically Excel in Microsoft 365, you may have noticed that in the Quick Access toolbar, there is an Auto Save slider. And basically what this means is that as you work away in your worksheets, Excel is constantly saving your workbook. And the cool thing about that is that it means you are very unlikely to lose any work if Excel was to unexpectedly crash. Now, in Excel 2021, because this is a standalone version and not a cloud version, we don't have the auto save toggle. So this means that you need to save your document or your workbook as you're working. Now, of course, we do have some backup to that. There are autosave capabilities within Excel 2021, which I'll show you in a moment. But just be aware of that fundamental difference if you are coming to this course after using Microsoft 365. Now, when it comes to saving, you have a few different options. We have a Save button on the Quick Access toolbar. And you can see as I hover over that, you can also see the shortcut key for save, which is Control S. And that is probably the quickest way to save your workbook as you're working. I know that for me, I am now in the habit of periodically, sort of every 5 minutes or so, just quickly doing Control S to make sure that everything that I'm doing is saved. Also notice we have a save icon up in that title bar. And if we go to the File tab to jump into that backstage area, we also have Save and Save As in here. Now, what is the difference between these two? Well, you would use Save As if this is the first time that you're saving your workbook. So if you create a new blank workbook, as we have done here, it's going to be assigned the generic name of Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, so on and so forth. So effectively, when I save this, I'm going to be saving it for the first time. So I would need to do File, Save As. Now, the thing is here that if I was just to press Control S to save, it's going to basically ask me to save as anyway. The same thing is going to happen if I go to File and down to Save as opposed to Save As. It's going to jump me across to the Save As tab anyway because it's the first time I'm saving. So now from here, I can browse to a location where I want to save this file. Now, I'm going to save all of my course files on my desktop. And I would recommend that for the purpose of this course, you find a location like your desktop or maybe even My Documents. Create yourself a little folder and call it something along the lines of Course Files, just so you have somewhere to save all of these files that we're creating during this course. So I've created a brand new little folder. Let's double click to open it up. And now I can give my file a name. Now, when it comes to naming files, a lot of people like to use some kind of naming convention. And it might be that within your business, you have a standard way that you name files. For example, if you're saving an invoice, you might start all file names with IMV and then maybe the date and then the invoice number, something like that. Now, for this first file, because it is our first one, I'm just going to call it My First Workbook. Now, by default, if you want to save an Excel file, the file extension is .xlsx. And you can see that underneath, that is the default file extension that it's giving me. And basically, the main point of file extensions is really to help identify what type of file this is. For example, if I'm in File Explorer and I double click to open a file with the file extension .xlsx, File Explorer knows that that's an Excel file and it needs to launch Excel. Now, in this Save As type, if we click, you can see that we have so many different file types that we can save our workbooks as. And we will dip in and out of some of these as we go through the course. In fact, in the last lesson, we briefly took a look at saving files as Excel templates. But for the time being, we just want to save this as a regular default Excel file. So let's just click on the Save button. Now, as soon as I do that, it jumps me back to my workbook, and you can now see in the title bar, it's updated to say My First Workbook. So now I can go in and I can start to work. So maybe I'm just typing some numbers into this workbook. And if I want to save as I go along, I can press Control S, keyboard shortcut, or I can click the Save button on the Quick Access toolbar. Now, what about if I've been working for 2 to 3 hours and I've just completely forgotten to save? If that does happen, I have the potential to lose quite a lot of work if I accidentally close down Excel or maybe it unexpectedly crashes. So to help with this, we have some auto-save options that we should be reviewing before we really start working in Excel. And we'll find those options underneath the File tab. And if we go all the way down to Options at the bottom, notice in here we have a page specifically related to saving Excel workbooks. Now, it's this section just here that you want to double check. I can see here that I'm saving files by default in the standard Excel format, which is perfect. And then underneath I have this little checkbox selected, Save Auto Recover Information Every, and then I have mine set to 5 minutes. Now you could choose to take this down to 1 minute, 2 minutes, or even take it up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But that basically means that if Excel does crash and you haven't saved it, you're really only going to lose up to 5 minutes of work because Excel is going to auto-save every 5 minutes. Also note that I have checked underneath, keep the last auto-recovered version if I close without saving. So what does that exactly mean? Well, let's click on OK. I'm going to make a few further changes to this workbook. I'm just going to add some numbers in here. And I'm not going to save, but I'm going to just close this workbook. Now notice it says want to save your changes to myfirstworkbook.xlsx. So it's recognized that I have unsaved changes and has prompted me to save. So I can now choose to save or don't save. Now I'm going to click cancel here. Now sometimes if Excel crashes, it's not going to pop up that message. But because we've chosen to auto recover, the next time we open Excel, we're going to get a message at the top saying that files have been auto recovered and we're going to get the chance to restore them. And in that scenario, what I could also do is go to File, into Info, and underneath this Manage Workbook area, I have an option to recover unsaved workbooks. So this is going to pop me to a folder where any unsaved files are stored. And you can see that I have one in here. So this is one I was working on yesterday, I think. And my laptop actually ran out of power and just closed itself down. So you can see that Excel has actually recovered that book just there. If I want to reopen that, I can just by clicking the Open button. So the main takeaways here are the different methods you can use to save your file, how you can save as into a folder, and also how you can review your auto save and auto recover options.